What's up, everybody? It's your host, Rafał Maciejewski, and I have a fucking migraine. So here's a fun fact about me. I only get migraines on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, anytime the weather changes. And I've been documenting this for probably the last 6 months. And I have literally tried everything, and I've only found one medication that basically destroys my insides that can get rid of this thing within like less than 20 minutes, or just going to sleep and waking up the next day. But that's where I'm at right now. But that is not the topic of the show. I want to get into kind of like more of a bigger picture when it comes to fitness, health, weight loss, fat loss, whatever you want to call it. And it all kind of started with someone posted this like image of someone saying like, in your 20s, you think to yourself, you know, I wish X, Y, and Z was smaller. And then in your 30s, you're like, oh, I wish my body was like how I was in my 20s. And then when you're 40, you're like, oh, I wish my body was like how I was in my 30s. And then when you're 50, you're like, oh, I wish my body was like how it was in the 40s. And then at the end, it's like, maybe your body was never the problem, it's something else. And really it comes down to is, you know, what's happening inside your head, how you process things. And this whole concept is like, when is it enough? You know, and I think a lot of us kind of fall into this trap and rabbit hole of, you know, say you're trying to get fit and healthy and you do see some result, right? When you get to that point, say you lost 3 pounds and kept it off, you're starting to feel better about yourself, things are fitting better, but then you want more. And no matter what you do, no matter how fit you get, how slim you get, you always want more. But then you got to ask yourself, like, when is it enough? Like, losing 5 pounds, are you going to be happy then? Losing 10 pounds, 50 pounds? And then when you get to those markers, like, are you now like, okay, good, I'm happy with my body? Most likely it's not. You know, I used to train a lot of figure competitors back in my day when I first started in the industry. And they have some serious psychological shit going on in their brain. Because you will have these women in their freaking early 20s, lean, like so fucking lean to step on stage, and they still think that X, Y, and Z does not look good enough. So really, no matter where you are at this point, unless you change how you process, you know, the way you look in front of a mirror, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be like, all right, I lost 20 pounds. I'm finally there. I'm finally happy. I achieved my goal. You're never going to get there. And no matter where you are in your journey right now, probably 99% of you are going to feel that way. And I can say firsthand, like, you know, 5 years ago, I was not happy with my body. 4 years ago, was not happy with, like, to this day, I'm not happy with my body. Right? But it's one of those things you need to like almost like quiet down in your brain. And I get it, because like, you know, I'm not overweight or anything, but I once was overweight, and it fucking sucks. It sucks a big ass shit. It's terrible. And if you're listening to this where you feel not feel overweight, you are overweight, or have been struggling with your weight for a very long time, you're like probably thinking, Raph, fuck you, you don't know anything. But no, like, I get it, it's tough. But if you can develop a mindset that, you know, every milestone you go through when it comes to weight loss, fitness, and health, it needs to push you in a direction where you feel happy about it. You know, like when I hear clients go, oh, I only lost 4 pounds last month. Like, fuck, that's huge. Huge. You got to celebrate that. But for some reason, it's never enough. Ever. And then I'll see people do huge body transformations and they're still not happy, right? It's perspective. Like, you got to ask yourself, when is it enough? Like, can you, like, right now, like, shut me up, like, turn off this podcast, video, whatever, how you're watching or consuming this, and, like, literally physically write down, when is it enough? Is it when you go from 200 pounds to 150? Is that going to be like that marker where you're like, yeah, I will be really happy with my life at 150, you know? And same goes for people like, say myself, like, I don't walk around with a fucking six-pack all year round, right? I'm basically at that body fat percentage that if I dieted really fucking hard for like 2 months, I would be shredded. I'm at that like body fat percentage. But am I going to be happier dieting really hard to be that lean and shredded? Probably not. Like, is my value going to increase? Probably not. Is, like, the quality of my life going to improve? Probably not. And I learned this, like, 4 years ago. And life has been a little bit easier. Like, food has been more in control than before when I had binge-like behaviors. You know, it's those things where you actually take time to sit down and think about. And the biggest thing the last year and a half that I've been implementing is literally going on walks without my phone, without music, without anything, so I can actually like think and process things. Because if you think about your average day, you wake up, you're thinking about getting ready for work, you got to do your thing, you're at your desk for 8 to 10 hours, you come home, or you're still home, and you got to like prep stuff for dinner, or you got to get your kids doing X, Y, and Z, and then before you know it's 10 p.m. and you're like, fuck, I need to go to sleep, and then you repeat it all over again. No time during that day did you actually like sit down or just like have a minute to yourself to like check in with yourself or like really think about anything. You know, like I feel that ever since I started this habit of like going outside and walking and having like 30-ish minutes where I can process things, come up with ideas, rethink how I can do something, strategize a different way, has been huge for me. Huge. And these are the kind of questions that you need to ask yourself. Like, say you go on a walk tomorrow and ask yourself, when is it enough? When am I going to reach my goals? Is it going to be a never-ending goal of me chasing low body fat percentage so I can look better and feel better? Maybe that's not what it needs to be. Maybe it needs to be where you're at a comfortable weight, you know, you're off your blood pressure meds, you're, you know, able to walk a fucking mile without being gassed and your knees are hurting. Like, you gotta be really realistic and take the time to actually write this shit down. Like, the biggest thing that I learned professionally and personally is planning out my entire year. And I've brought this concept up in my podcast before, where you writing shit down is more powerful than you think it is. Like, writing out like 5 goals that you want to achieve in the year is really, really powerful compared to like, yeah, I want to learn a new language. That's great. That's not going to do anything, right? You need the time to process like life-altering changes. You losing weight and keeping it off is one of those things. You know, it's equivalent to like, hey, I want to move into a big house. Like, we've been saving up a bunch of money. Our house that we live in right now has built up a lot of equity. Let's sell it and let's go into a big house, right? Something like that that's life-altering. You're not going to just let it happen. You're going to actually like think about it. You're going to put energy and time into it. But for some reason, when it comes to fitness and health, we don't take the time to actually plan, create a strategy, ponder on it, like think about any kind of obstacles that may come our way. Like, we don't ever go through that whole process. We just hope for the best. Like, that's all it is. Oh no, I'm gonna sneeze again. So that is so weird. My last episode, I was like, oh, that's the first time I've ever sneezed on my show, and here I go again. What are the odds? Where was I? That totally threw me off. But yeah, so we need to take the time to actually ask ourselves, when is it enough? At what point are we going to stand on the scale, measure ourselves, try on a pair of pants where we are happy with the result? And you need to like tangibly like create that experience in your brain, so when you get to that point, you can like finally be happy and fulfilled. None of us actually take the time to appreciate what we have. You know, like, we are so fortunate. And like, I love Gary Vaynerchuk because he just speaks it as it is. And he used to say this all the time. I don't know if he still does because I haven't consumed his content in forever. But he would always say, like, do you understand how fucking lucky you are? Like, the odds of you being born and being in the position you are in right now is probably like 1 out of like 36 trillion. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you could have been a fucking tree. You know what I mean? You're a fucking human being that has the ability to do anything if you put the work and effort into it. Like, that's how lucky you are and fortunate. But we never take the time to appreciate what we have. Like, I'm fucking driving a car. I could be one of those people that doesn't have enough money to afford a car, and I'm taking the bus every day to work. Like, that is huge. Like, I will, before bed, and this is like how people get into like gratitude journals and stuff like that, like literally like taking the time to write down what you're grateful for is huge. How it's going to change how you process things, again, which is what this whole episode's about. Like, if just think about like 10 things that you are appreciative. Like, for me, like, I have my health. Like, holy shit, I haven't had COVID. I have not been tested for COVID. Thank God. Like, I did not have to go through those things. Whereas other people have. Like, I am like, every day I'm like, holy shit, I am so lucky to have what I have, what I've experienced. Like, it's huge. And changing that mindset, because I feel like we're in a place in our lives right now where everything seems like it's fucking shit and dark, and COVID is literally like kicking you in the nuts and the throat at the same time. Like, these little things matter, especially for your mental health, especially. Fuck, I am ranting on a good note here, but I'm going to keep this short. Ask yourself the serious question: when is it enough? At what point, what metric do you want to reach? Write it down, and when you get there, fucking be appreciative of it. Don't be like, oh, but I wish like this part of my body didn't have fat. Like, fuck that. Like, come on. If you go down that route, like, everything is going to go to shit. So be realistic, find that metric, ask yourself, when is it enough? What point am I going to be happy? And things are going to start changing in your brain where things are going to click. You're going to be at that tipping point where you're going to see success. That's it for me, you guys. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble. You guys are amazing. Until next time. And don't forget to hit the show notes, add me on Facebook, subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me on Instagram, and give me a 5-star review on anywhere you listen to your podcast. And now, for real, that's it. I love you guys. Until next time.